Good morning, everybody. I wanted to talk today about two things. One is I wanted to reach out to those of you who are on the right. Maybe you see yourself as MAGA and you're debating Trump and feeling like you can no longer support him. You no longer want to call yourself MAGA. Time to hang up the red hat, and you're looking at leaving. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about where you're going. Because I think if you look at the media, they're playing a game with you. And it's fine if you don't support Trump. That's not a big deal. We don't always support the person who's in power, who might be someone we did support or whatever. And no one's perfect, and we do get disappointed. But the left is trying to manipulate you, and I think they're doing something. I also think they're lying, and when they're saying that most MAGA is vanishing. I don't think there's a mass exodus to the left or away from MAGA, but I think there are people disgruntled. So I wanted to speak to you today and clear up some things that I see that I think could push you in a direction that will not be helpful, but will be even more uncomfortable. And in talking about that to you who are interested in leaving MAGA, I also wanted to discuss what is MAGA today. Okay, so that's our theme for today. And before we go any further, let me explain. I never broadcast from a car. I sometimes hate when I see YouTubers do that all the time, but I'm right now staying warm as it's about 7 o'clock in the morning, and I'm in Auburn, Maine, which is about an hour north of Portland. My wife is currently running a 100-mile marathon. She's got about 32 hours. She left at 6 o'clock this morning. We've been up since 3:30. Neither of us got much sleep. And I will be pacing her for the last 25 miles, which will be like tomorrow morning. And until then, I'm just sort of hanging out in the car, and I've got some books here and some food, but right now I'm tired and I'm a little cold. I got a blanket. Anyways, and sorry about my crinkly jacket, or if you can hear the fake leather on the camera. So, for those of you who are disgruntled by Trump, one thing I see on the left is leftists saying that they know so many MAGA who are no longer MAGA, but they're now leftists. I saw a leftist the other day on some forum asking if MAGA should be allowed into the left. And he said, no, if MAGA no longer support Trump, we should punish them for being such evil people and torture them. Which is whatever. Anyways, I see a lot of talk from left-wingers about how MAGA are now turning to the left. And I see a lot of MAGA, supposedly MAGA, going, I think I'm going to move to the left because Trump has failed in fulfilling his promises. Trump has failed in doing what he said he would do. And again, that's fine if you believe that, though I will point out that I don't think there's ever been a president who has fulfilled all of his promises and has been perfect. Because no one is, and that's the way government works. It's up and down. Anyways, and again, I don't even believe that the mass exodus to the left is actually like the media says it is. But, you know, you have a right to... You have a right to disagree with Trump, and there probably is movement back and forth. But if you're upset with Trump, and you don't want to be MAGA, you're not happy with him, do not feel like you have to move to the left. That kind of makes no sense to me. And that is the game that the left is playing with you. They're basically saying, well, if you're not MAGA, you're going to have to be one of us now. And I kind of feel like if that's where you are and you're worried and you're like, okay, I got to be a left winger now and I'm going to lose friends because I'm going to leave MAGA, you're being manipulated. You're being played with. Basically, they're trying to get your vote. The amazing thing about the conservative side is it is a huge umbrella. This is why I ended up liking it when I first found it in the late 90s. And I was a default liberal, middle class liberal. And when I discovered the right, there was so many different ideas and so many different type of people and so many different approaches. It was like, wow, I can feel comfortable here, where I always struggled to be on the left, because I found that whenever I had an idea that broke the box, I would literally have someone kind of push back, well, you probably shouldn't say that in public. But when I moved to the right, it was like no one really gave a shit. There was just so much diversity there. MAGA is just one part of the right. It's not everybody on the right. It's not all right-wingers. There are Christians who aren't MAGA. Shocking, I know. There are right-wingers who aren't Christian. There are libertarians. And libertarians don't consider themselves Republican quite often. They can see themselves as conservatives, but they're conservative like Jerry Falwell is conservative. It's just such a huge umbrella. I know people who are liberal on some things, but conservative on other things, and that's okay. They tend to fall on the right because the right says, hey, we know you don't fit our bubble, but that's okay. We love the diversity. I've been to meetings of the Libertarian Party in New York and Maine, and also I've done things with the Republican Party in Washington State, and just Washington State. And in all those meetings, I've seen arguments come out, like big heated arguments. Yet there has been times where I've been to Democratic things, and that was growing up in college. Before I switched over, I was supporting Democratic candidates. Never saw an argument, never saw any disagreements. Everyone just sat in rooms and went, yep, we agree, and then would stab each other in the back behind the scenes. But at every libertarian meeting, oh my God, there was always an argument. No, people just said what they said, and then afterwards you joke about it in the bar. And I thought to myself, I like this way better because, oh my goodness, I would rather have someone disagree with me and then we laugh about it versus being stabbed behind my back while we all pretend to believe the same thing. This is the amazing thing about the right. It's an umbrella that is huge and has been huge for decades. The idea that everyone on the right is a Christian conservative is a stereotype that isn't really true anymore. I think the right wing has moved beyond the Christian thing. We've moved beyond the neocons. We're no longer the Jerry Falwell party or the Billy Graham party or whatever, or the Newt Gingrich party. We've changed. And so there is room for such diversity. So if you are unhappy with Donald Trump and you feel you are not MAGA, if you feel that you must move to the left, I would say you don't understand the big picture of what it means to be on the right. The right is the party of diversity. The right is the side of diversity. It maybe wasn't always to the extent it is now, but the left has become so focused. They hate diversity now. They don't like it. They pretend to have diversity while they make sure to get rid of anyone they don't like. So if you don't want to be MAGA, you can still be conservative. You can still be Republican. You can become libertarian. There's other options. And it's no big deal. And so I see these people online talk about, well, all my MAGA friends are now left-wingers. And I'm going like, what? What? Why? Why did you have to leave this humongous bubble to join this little small bubble? It makes no sense to me. And I think the left is pushing that too, where if you're not MAGA, then you have to move to the left. There is no options. Because the left is a cult that sees everything in binaries. It's us versus them. That's a very big cult perspective that the right doesn't really have. The right tends to see us, and then there's this group, this group, this group. But the left is us versus them, and you have one or the other. There's the insiders and the outsiders. And so for them, if you're not MAGA, you have to move to the left. You don't have any other options. You have to be one or the other. Very black and white thinking. And so they push this idea to MAGA who are questioning Trump, going, well, you have to join us now. There is no choice. The other thing with the left is they absolutely do not understand the right at all. They don't understand the right if their life depended on it. And there's actually been studies about this, and they've asked right-wingers and left-wingers different questions, and the left-wingers really fail to understand the right, where the right-wingers tend to understand the left. And so the left is feeding you this thing, well, if you don't like this, you have to join us. But they don't even understand you to start with. And I really feel that a lot of people now are disgruntled with Trump, or maybe disappointed that he didn't do everything he said he would, which I never thought he would, because what politician does? And they're now struggling, and they're now being swayed by this liberal propaganda that says, you gotta come over here, you've got to be a part of our team. And that makes me sad, particularly when you've stood against this propaganda for so many years. I mean, all of us on the right have been called every name in the book since Obama. Racist, bigot, fascist, homophobe, you name it. We've been called every name in the book, and more. And you've held out, but now you feel like you're not getting what you want out of the leader you elected. And so you're beginning to sway to this liberal propaganda. I'm just telling you to stop. Stop. You don't have to leave the right. You absolutely do not have to leave the right. There is so much room for you just to be conservative. You don't have to be MAGA. MAGA is just a splinter, just a little section, just a part of conservatism, At one point in time, there was conservatives, libertarians, and then there was this Reform Party thing with Ross Perot. So I just wanted to warn you again about propaganda on the left. Do not be deluded into this binary thinking of us and them, black or white, right or left. That's not the way the world actually works. The world has right, left, and gray. But the left doesn't like that, because people who are in that gray area might vote for the other party. And remember, the left is all about getting your votes. That's what they care about, is your votes. So they want you to switch all the way over. And I can't imagine why you'd want to go to the left. Okay, you're disgruntled with Trump. Okay, you're ready for him to go. Okay, he's failed you. He started a war you don't think needed to be started. Whatever, fine. He's not doing enough to stop Islam. He's surrounded by the swamp. Sure, whatever. Maybe you believe he's a pedophile because he's been mentioned X amount of times in the Epstein files, even though the evidence there is not saying that. Fine, whatever. Why would you want to become a leftist anyways and join the party that wants to sterilize an entire generation with puberty blockers? Why would you want to join the party that actually does want to destroy women's rights? Because trans women are women too, and they need the priority, and men should be able to go into women's spaces and women's sports and dominate everything. Why would you want to join that party? Why would you want to join the party that blatantly cancels people? So immediately you join, you speak up an idea, and they're going to cancel you again. Or they're going to cancel you and kick you out. Or as I said at the beginning of this video, why would you want to join the party that wants to punish you because you were on the other side? Why do you want to join the party whose basic goal is to make sure Nancy Pelosi's stock portfolio is doing really well and has all the billionaires? Why would you want to join that party? Why would you join the party that wastes our taxpayers' money and sends it abroad for gay comic books? or traditionally said that pedophilia was horrible, but we don't call them pedophiles anymore. We call them MAPS because pedo is an offensive term. Well, if you're giving a shit about how you're offending someone, then you actually don't think they're bad. You actually sort of support them. Why would you want to support that party? So you don't like Trump. Why would you now want to go over and support the party that's literally feeding us to, feeding the stock portfolios of billionaires, selling us out to China, is a warmongering party? Joe Biden? Did we really have to fight in the Ukraine? Probably not. That probably could have been avoided. And did we need to really set up the whole thing with Bill Clinton that brought us to Ukraine? It's all very questionable. You really want to join the party of George Soros and Adam Schiff, who lied on TV and basically committed treason to bring down the president? That's really where you want to go? So all these people on the right who hate Trump, you really want to go to the party that wants to trans your kids because they want population control and depopulation and they want to kill the family? That's what Marx said. We got to get rid of the family and the church. Absolutely. It's not a secret. People say, oh, look what they're doing. No. Marx said it. It was written in stone. That's what has to happen. You really want to go to that side that destroys everything that you've been supporting just because you don't like Trump? Think about this for a second. You don't have to. You can stay on the right. You can just be conservative. Now, that asks the question, what is MAGA? Who is MAGA? So you're not going to be MAGA anymore, but what does that mean? What does it mean to be MAGA versus conservative? We know what conservative versus libertarian or Republican versus libertarian is, but who is MAGA? In 2015, I did not support Trump. I didn't think he was the best person for the job, but I knew he would win if Hillary ran. I felt Bernie would win if he ran, but I didn't think Trump was the best, but I knew he'd be the president. I didn't vote, but had I voted, I would have voted for Trump. No, I voted for him in the next two elections. And I never saw myself as a Trumpster. I actually, and I've said this before, I supported Ted Cruz. I thought he was the best person that I saw. It was like, that guy would be the best president. He would have lost the election to Hillary without any question, but I felt he was going to be a good president. And Trump came into office. I started seeing them lie about him. Adam Schiff lied about him. They just lied. They were already trying to get rid of Trump before he became president. And it was shocking to me. And I began to look at the media in a completely different way, because suddenly they became something that, well, they probably always have been liars on some level, but they just took it to an art form level. I had a friend say to me, do you support Trump? And I said, well, I don't hate him. And my friend said to me, well, you're MAGA. No, I'm not. I'm not MAGA. I'm not a Trump supporter, but you don't hate him. And my friend said, if you don't hate him, you don't think he's the worst person ever, the most evil person ever, the worst president ever, that automatically makes you MAGA. That was my friend's definition to me of MAGA, was this binary. So you love him or hate him, and if you love him, even if I didn't vote, even if I supported Ted Cruz, I was now MAGA. That's how I became MAGA, because it was like, you fucking with me? And I heard that from other people. If you even like the color of his necktie because you think that red is the best red, you're MAGA. In order not to be MAGA, I was told by my friend, ex-friend actually, because of this, and other people, you have to be 100% against Trump. That's the definition of MAGA. Now, would you agree with that? Is that a fair definition? What about people who voted for him who just didn't want Joe Biden, or didn't want Hillary, or actually Joe Biden or Kamala too? Fast forward, if you didn't want Hillary because you thought she was horrible, and you just voted for the lesser of two evils, according to my friend, you're MAGA. Maybe you weren't even conservative. Maybe you were a liberal. I knew some liberals who said, I can't vote for Hillary. I can't justify that. And I'm not sure about Bernie. And they voted for Trump just because they felt they had no option, but they wanted to vote. And they felt Trump would be better. So is this liberal who still says they're liberal suddenly MAGA? How do we define MAGA? Who is this MAGA base also that supposedly no longer supports Trump? Who is this MAGA base that the news is saying is falling apart and won't be there? Will MAGA exist after Trump? Now, I have said in a previous video, I don't believe that. I think MAGA is based on Trump, sort of like the Reform Party was based on Ross Perot. Without him, it will eventually fall apart. So I think MAGA is intertwined with Trump. But what does it mean to be MAGA? When the news says to you these things that I've just said, who are they talking about? Who is MAGA? What is MAGA? What qualifies you as MAGA? That's a very important question and can radically change the definition of what the news might be reporting if suddenly they define MAGA and you're like, well, if only certain people are MAGA or MAGA is a small subset, what does it mean? So if you're no longer MAGA, well, according to my friend, you have to be the left-winger because you have to be. Once you support Trump, you're always MAGA, so then you have to go all the way. But is that legit? So I just was thinking these thoughts recently and just wanted to share them with all of you and just get your feedback on them and just see what you thought to spark a discussion. You know what I like to do on this channel is try to see if we can see through that propaganda and ask some questions and figure some stuff out. And it's the sociologist in me. I like asking questions. They say us who are MAGA or on the right are in a cult, but one sign of a cult member is they don't ask questions, because asking questions, and I speak as a former cult member, gets you into trouble. So I'm always encouraging you, those of you who watch the show, never stop asking those questions, and as long as you do that, they can't call you a cult member. Anyways, let me take a drink, and you guys have been really chatty this morning. Thank you so much, and I'm just going to read your chats here in a minute, but let me take just a drink. As I said at the beginning of this, my wife is out running a 100-mile marathon right now. I think it's about, God, I don't have a clock around here. I can't tell on my phone what time it is, but it's early in the morning. We're up here on the Androscoggin River. I wish I could show you the view. It's really awesome. Maybe I'll take a video later today. It started to rain though. I've been up since 3:30 and we both got like 3 hours of sleep, and I won't even tell you how many energy drinks I've got. And I'm sleeping in the car tonight, and yeah, this is what I do, what we do for fun. Anyways, so let's see what some of you are saying in the chat. I love your chats. I love everything you guys have to say. If you wish to support me, this channel is now monetized. So honestly, if you wish to donate money, you may. It really just goes back into doing stuff and doing stuff here. And I'm thinking about making some stickers, because I hate just really asking for money without offering something. If you guys would be interested, I've got a couple sticker designs that I have done, or maybe t-shirt designs that I'm thinking about putting out there. I'm always wearing different t-shirts for rock bands that I like, so I'm thinking about offering that just as a way of saying thank you. And it won't have my face or name on it, but a few things that I say. If you're interested, like I said, every little bit does help this channel and helps fund different things and buying equipment and whatever. So someone says, It's just kind of horseshoe shaped, the far right and the far left. They are fairly close. And you know what? Yes and no. I used to say, and many of us used to say, and this is how I was taught growing up, the left and the right are two sides of the same coin, you know? Or as a friend used to say, it wasn't a horseshoe shape, but it's a circle, and they both meet when you get to the ends. They're both there. And I think that is sort of true, but at other times, and I've said this before, I think they've also changed, and they are farther apart than they've ever been in my lifetime, and I'm 49 years old in a couple weeks, matter of fact, and they're farther apart. And I can remember when Reagan got elected and I was in the first grade. I've always loved politics. I think they've grown so much apart because when I was growing up, I could talk to a liberal, or when I was liberal, I could talk to a conservative and go, hey, you know what? I hate pedophilia, and I hate child pornography, and child marriage is horrible. And the other person, whatever side they were on, would go 100% agree. That's where we overlap. But now, they actually want to lower the age of child marriage in the United States. Some groups, some small groups that are sick in the head want to do that. Child pornography, they are just about doing that with the books they're just about doing that with the books they're putting in schools, but I don't technically know if a book written for children about sex is considered child pornography. I think that's just pornography. Because they think kindergarteners need to know about sex. No, they don't. And they don't know about it. And they won't unless you tell them. And the left now doesn't want to offend pedophiles. So suddenly this overlap, and I'm just using this one example, no longer is there. We don't have that overlap. The left is now pro-pedophilia. You know, once upon a time, wasn't that long ago, when I was young, and I was born in the 70s, you could say to someone of the other side of the aisle, you know, women's rights are important. And they would respond back to you, yes, you're absolutely correct. They may have a different definition of what that means. So one side might say, yes, women's rights are important. We got to keep women at home as the center of the family. The other side might say, well, we need to give them voting rights, or they need to get out of the home. But they had some justification of each side had something where women needed some protection or something, or equality in some way, and maybe it was making them equal to men, or it was keeping them in a more Christian home or something. You know what I mean? They had different views of what it meant to be a woman, but each side believed in the role of women in society and something. Now, the left doesn't even know what a woman is. A guy with a dick, I could say I'm a woman right now. I could change genders right now. I can change genders. I am now a woman. Okay, that's it. I'm officially a woman now. And you can't deny me that truth. I'm now a woman. And I spell my name E-R-I-N now. And according to them, that's science. That's all it takes is science. That is legit science, too. And if you question me, I can call you a bigot. Or I can call 911 for harassment. So the left has gone so far now, and I'm just being joking. I'm not changing my gender because that's impossible. But the left has now moved so far that we don't have this overlap. So the comment that this spurred out of, where we're a horseshoe, I think maybe we are, and we were at one point, but the left is going so extreme, and they're pushing now more communist ideas, Mamdani, the mayor of Seattle, and they're no longer caring about the working class, that actually I don't know if we are the single coin with same sides of the same coin, or if we're horseshoe anymore. We might just have become a straight line. So your idea is right, but I really wonder if we have really changed, that things have dramatically changed. I mean, the left seems to have no values anymore. They'll throw anyone under the bus if it means hating Trump. They'll throw science under the bus. They don't give a shit anymore. It's all about Trump hate. That's the entire party now, is hate Trump. Fight fascism. Doesn't exist. They are fascist. And no matter what you say about the right, I don't think the right has any equivalency. They have their faults, but it's not the same. So I don't think we're a horseshoe. I think the right and the left have become a straight line. And there may be no going back to making them look alike. There is still overlap, but I think it's just becoming less and less. At the end of the day, though, who knows? Who knows what the world will look like? So, thank you for the comments. Happy Saturdays to all of you, wherever you are. Next game, bro. Thanks. Okay, this is funny. Sometimes you guys make me laugh. I think this guy hit my dog with his car and drove off. Given how rarely I drive, no, I didn't hit your dog. And I wouldn't do that anyways, and I wouldn't drive off. And I'm not in the driver's seat, actually, right now either. Whatever. At least you didn't make fun of my hair, because it looks atrocious. Oh, someone else did call him out for letting his dog run away. Oh, this is interesting. I love this quote, this comment. Politics is an IQ test right now. Well, if that's the case, the bar has been lowered. How much is Ilhan Omar's IQ? How much is AOC's IQ? I sometimes question if Bernie has any left. He sold his soul out. Oh my goodness. You know, speaking of Bernie, this is just an aside. I actually read his book, Outsider in the White House, and I was like, well, I kind of have some appreciation of him, some respect for him holding his beliefs all those years, even though he didn't really get anything done other than enrich his banking account, so he's a hypocrite. But at least he openly kind of attempted to profess these beliefs that he had, that he felt would make the world a better place. If we were all communists, and as long as he had a couple houses in there, because he's going to be an elite member of this. But once he sold his soul out to Hillary, and I really believe he was given a bargain, and that was it. And I believe that based on his own actions and also things Tulsi Gabbard have said, I believe he sold out to give Hillary the spot, and I believe he's a pawn that's now rolled out when they need somebody, when they want his votes, when they want the Bernie bros and the Bernie sisters, they roll him out to, you know, chirp about something horrible. He's like Susan Collins here in Maine, absolutely horrible woman who I don't think she'll win the election. I think it'll be the Nazi who's really popular here in Portland. And Janet Mills is left. They roll out Susan Collins whenever they want a woman. Oh, look, we got a woman. See what she says. And I see this, and I really think that, like, wow, Bernie, you sold out. Your IQ has clearly dropped, or something, you know. It's like, or were you fooling us all the time? So if politics is an IQ game, maybe these folks aren't as smart as we think. They just have good PR all these years. But is it politics as an IQ game, or is it they think that we're dumbasses? They think that Americans have a zero IQ. The amount of gaslighting the media does is insane. Hillary thinks we're all deplorables. I've seen so many left-wingers think that MAGA is the dumbest people on earth, who can't use their eyes, who can't see what's in front of them. And it's just like, you know, someone actually wrote me an email saying that it was obvious to anyone with a brain that Donald Trump is far beyond in the stages of Alzheimer's than Joe Biden is or was on his worst day. Trump is so far beyond in both a decline in physical and mental health, and is almost at the end of his life, far beyond anything Joe Biden ever was. And that, and all you have to do is see that. And I'm like, do you think I'm an idiot? Because I am looking at these guys, and clearly Trump might have some issues, or might be showing his decline, or maybe he's just not as healthy. But Joe Biden was really couldn't function. They had to fake where he was doing his speeches. They had to do the auto pen. He wasn't really there. He was mumbling. He was falling asleep, well beyond what Trump is doing. So I really think the left thinks that we're the ones with the low IQ. So is it politics? Well, so yeah, politics is an IQ game, but it might be they're trying to think that we're the dumbest people on earth. That's how I feel. Anyways. The next quote, I didn't see this next comment. President Trump has an IQ of 156, Obama 136, Joe Biden rock bottom. You know, IQ doesn't mean everything. And also the question is, what do you do with the IQ? Are you a lazy intellectual who never develops it? Or are you actually rather smart and you're always growing and always asking questions? I know smart people who, they're boring. Their lives are boring. They're stuck in a box. They have fancy degrees, but they don't use their brain anymore. And I've seen really dumb people who keep asking questions and keep pushing and keep wanting to know more. And I'm like, you may not have that IQ, but I'd rather hang out with you any day because you have a life and you're doing things, and it's not a number, it's what you're doing with that. My aunt was a member of Mensa, matter of fact, for her huge IQ, and she took numerous tests over the years and always had this big IQ, yet lived in a house, same house for 50 years, with all the windows closed, curtains closed over the windows, because she didn't want the aliens looking in. And I mean the ones from Mars and Jupiter. She believed that they were being hauled on the trucks by the military, and she lived in this little small town in northern Maine. She believed that they were being hauled and would look in her window at her kitchen. And she had a shelf full of alien books and stuff. That was it. She didn't actually read any other book except about aliens and how they were going to look in my aunt's house and my uncle's house. And my uncle worked in a printing company, like a pre-Kinko's, the early days before Kinko's would exist. One of those places. Like, they were really concerned about this guy who'd served in the Marines in the Korean War and now worked at a printing company and was a drunk and has a son who makes pornos. Like, yeah, aliens really care about you. Like, but that's all she thought about, and it came up in every conversation, yet she was a Mensa level member, whatever it is. I don't know. So what is IQ? What does IQ really mean? So President Trump may have a lower IQ or a higher IQ, but what are you doing with that? Obama's making us feel like racists. So anyways. This is a great comment. I was doing a long show today. It started to rain. My wife is out there running. She's got about 6 hours on each 25-mile loop, so she is in the rain right now. So a great comment goes, it's not about supporting Trump or not. It's about supporting the policies that he implements. But of course, these are not policy people. I think that's a wonderful quote because, well, I'd agree with it. Because I think that is our current state. We're not really about policies anymore like we used to be 30 years ago. And Trump isn't a policy man. He's not a politician. He doesn't think in terms of policy. He thinks, I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to take care of this problem, which is actually, I think, how a lot of us would approach the presidency. Yeah, when I get in, I want to solve this, 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 and this. It's not about policies. It's about taking care of problems. But that's not how we are all raised to perceive these government offices. But I think that's where we are now. So is this the direction that the next president will be? I don't know. Will we go back to policy presidents? I don't know. But this is actually why many of us voted for Trump, because he wasn't a policy guy. He wasn't a slick politician. He just was like, this, I want this. It's like a mobster. He's like Tony Soprano. This is what I want. This is what I want. Do that. even though my face right now looks more like Silvio, it's like, that's it. It's not about the big picture. I want to send Paulie out to take care of that guy. I'm going to solve this problem. I'm going to solve that problem. That guy's in my face. That's it. Trump served like a mobster. I've always actually kind of thought he had that little bit of that mobster New York, New Jersey mentality. And I've known some mobsters, actual mobsters in New York. It's not about policies. And the liberals get that wrong, but they're not about policies either. They're just about hating Trump. They don't have anything policies. Is this good or bad, though? I don't know. There's a comment here that says absolute morons. They're absolute morons. They don't know about policy. But on the other hand, Trump does get some things done because he is just about get this done. Get it done. End of story. Whereas someone else might be like, well, we can't because, and they drag shit out forever. So, I don't know. And I think we voted for Trump because we wanted to get shit done. All right. So another comment says, even if you hate Trump, you should always vote against Democrats no matter what. And I'm kind of said that at the beginning. Like, even if you hate Trump, don't go to the left. They're going to screw you over. Also, I didn't say, but there's a lot of people who might be on the right questioning MAGA, questioning Trump, who, quite honestly, you were probably on the left last week and you switched, or you were probably on the left before and now you're going back to the left. But don't. If you came over here, there's a reason you came over here, and it probably has more to do than just Trump. It's probably lots of things brought you to the right, and now you're suddenly discovering the right is not what you thought it was. So you don't have to go back, and you may have discovered your party was evil. So yeah, there's things here. Okay, here we go. Wonderful quote. I love this one. Repeat after me. There is no one in this world important enough for me to hate. I am not important enough to hate anyone in this world. I see these TikTokers go, I spent an hour crying over Trump today. I do it every morning. I'm like, man, don't you have a hobby? Don't you have a life? I don't have that much time to hate. And I'm here hating because I think also I'm bringing up points that we can discuss. It's not just whining about Trump or whining about liberals or whoever. I'm trying to have a discussion. That's why I don't do shows every day, because sometimes I just have nothing to discuss. But yeah, there's not enough time in life to hate as much as some people hate. Oh, okay. As for red, white, and blue hair, my hair is red, white, and brown, and overly long. It needs to be cut. As another great comment here, I think most of us are in the middle. Honestly, I would agree with that. I think a lot of people are in the middle, but we've been pushed by media to be right or left. You have to be one or the other, this binary I talked about. But I think in reality, there's a lot of gray area. A lot of us are right there. My wife was just telling me last night, she's like, I'm a pinko commie. That's her actual words. But I'm also sort of libertarian. As her quote was, I want to smoke my cigar and have my gun and go to my friend's gay wedding, and no one's going to blink. I've always seen myself as a little bit more of a social liberal and economic conservative, though that's changing a little bit. And I'm not a religious person in the sense of like I don't care about gay marriage, but I am caring about transing kids. So I'm a little bit here and a little bit there, and I've been moved more to the right. But I always saw myself as a little bit more of a middle person, but I've been pushed to the right. And I think a lot of us are being pushed one way or the other, but the reality is we're really not there. There is a middle ground, and it's being forgotten about. It's being ignored. It's being walked over because the middle ground, you don't know how they're going to vote, and it's all about votes. That's just, yeah, it's a great comment. Here's a comment. Come on, folks. This says, my comments are the best by far, and he hasn't read one of these. These creators are all alike. They don't want to highlight anything more entertaining and better than what they are doing. Well, honestly, if you know the way I work, you know I often wait to the end of my thought to read your comments. Because if I don't, I might forget what I'm saying and be distracted. So I often wait. I'm not reading it live. We're hanging out. I do my talk, and then I come to you. I'm not ignoring you. I don't think I'm like most creators anyways, or I try not to be. Okay, here's an interesting comment. What about the kids that were hit with a bomb? You care about that as much as abortion? Honestly, I don't know. What do you think my views on abortion are? I've never stated on this channel what my views on abortion are, and I'm not a Christian. So what do you think they are? So before you give me that line about abortion, you should find out what I believe first. I'm not a right-wing Christian. I never have been a right-wing Christian. Or I spent 3 years in the Christian church in college because I like the history of the church. But I never was a Jesus believer. My religious beliefs are Hindu, and I'm not Orthodox or anything. I'm just an American who just believes in this, and even then I have some doubts. So you compare bomb to abortion, but if you're talking to me, you don't know what my beliefs are on abortion. So your comment is just... You can't make the comparison if you have no idea what I believe. And if you assume what I believe, you don't watch my channel enough. Oh. Here's another comment. Do you highlight girls getting killed at a school, which is a low number, and yet you say nothing about the 40,000 Iranians murdered by their regime Icarus flights? So I have no idea what you're referring to, actually. I don't know what you're talking about. Also, I don't know what 40,000 Iranian girls has to do with leaving MAGA and going to the left, which was really the point of the beginning of this video. So you're asking me why I'm not talking about something that is irrelevant to the video. Maybe that's the reason I'm not talking about it. And I also have no idea. Girls getting killed at school. Which girls? Which school? What year are we talking about? 1930? Are we talking about girls in Germany getting killed? Who are these girls? That's such a... So I'm not talking about an incredibly vague thing that happened at some point in time. I read a book once by William F. Buckley, who was an influence on me, kind of moved me to the right. And it was sort of his spiritual memoir. And I mentioned this to somebody, and they go, well, it must be a shitty book. I'm sure it is, because he doesn't discuss X, Y, and Z in it. And my response was, well, first of all, how do you know he doesn't discuss it? Because you haven't read it. How do you know it's shitty? Because you haven't read it. But also, he doesn't discuss X, Y, and Z because those are political points which are irrelevant to the theme of the book, which is religion. So you're criticizing someone for not talking about a completely different topic. It's almost comical, that criticism of yours against me and others. And I've seen this with other people going, why aren't you talking about a completely different topic right now? And then assuming you know my point of view to criticize this. So you're going to put words in my mouth. And if you're a left-winger, you're demonstrating the low IQ of some people out there, if that's your criticism. Again, another... So there's a comment here about Jesus loves you, bro. Give him a chance. You know what? I have criticized Christians on this channel. I'm not going to deny that, because those videos are there, and I don't take videos down. I usually criticize dumb thinking, but I do that for anyone, if it's relevant to the point I'm talking about. I also have friends who are Christian. I have an ex who is a minister. I love Christians often much more than atheists who are in my circle. I like being with them far more. I actually was coming home from work 2 days ago, and the guy was handing out Bibles on the corner, and I was kind of lost in my own thought, and he offers this Bible to me, and I'm seeing it in his hand, and I'm kind of like, no, man, you know what? I really appreciate that, but why don't you give it to somebody else? Um, how you doing tonight? Oh, the rain let up, and then I started off a little bit, and then I stopped. I got 6 feet. I turned around and went, you know what? I will take one of your Bibles. He goes, you can give it to a friend. And I said, no, I'm actually going to take it for myself, because the other day I was looking something up, and I wanted to look it up in the Bible, and I don't have a copy anymore. I would be very happy to have that. Now, I didn't tell him that I also have like a Book of Mormon and other things on my shelf which are more referenced. But you know what? I was happy to talk to him. He was happy to converse with me. And so I actually, while I may not believe in Jesus and I might criticize Christians, I actually do really like Christians, and I support the Christianity continuing in this country, not being destroyed, not being replaced, because if Christianity falls, we're all doomed. So I went to like 5 different places in that statement, but as for Jesus loving me, we shall see. As for me being very stupid, I'm glad you think that. You're still watching my video. What are you hanging around a stupid person for? What else have you said today? You went on about abortion, but is it okay with rockets? No, that's apples and oranges, people. Apples and oranges. Apples and oranges. And I'm just going to ignore other comments. As for the comment that says I look like Jim Carrey, I've been told that before, but a lot less now, a lot more when I was younger and thinner. I was told that a lot, matter of fact. We're not talking about Iranian children. Why is Trump protecting pedophiles? Okay, I don't think he is. I think he called out Epstein many times. And as for the Epstein files not being released, I did a video on that already. Check that on the old video. I don't think the files are there to be released. And I don't think he has the ability to release them if they are still there. I don't think he's protecting anybody. As for blocking files, again, Icarus flights, I don't think he's blocking anything. I just don't think the files are there. I think they're gone. 100% gone. Check my video out about that. It's just a live show few episodes ago. I think the files are long gone. I don't think he's protecting anyone. I think it's well documented that he called out Epstein, and I think the authorities kind of look the other way. If anyone's protecting Epstein, it's the left. You guys are discussing things. Austin Powers in the flesh. You really think I look like Austin Powers? No, you're confusing me with Janet Mills, soon to be the waste of time governor here in Maine. Great conversation on redaction. Have I ever gotten any vaccines? I got the COVID shots because I was afraid I'd lose my job. And I won't go into why I didn't feel like I could get another job, but I got them, and I never got another one, and I never will. And my wife got them, and she was very much like, oh, I gotta get this. And I was like, no, I'm afraid. I am literally afraid to getting them. And then she ended up regretting it, reading more and more about it. So I did, and that was it. It was just those shots for the 2 of us, and one time only. And interesting enough, I know someone who gets a booster since 2020 every 3 months, and is sick numerous times a year, and has COVID numerous times a year. As for other vaccines, yes, I've gotten everything, but I don't get the flu shot. And had I do it over again, I don't know if I'd get the jab or not in 2020. I don't know if my job was as much at risk as I thought it was. I work in a very small company, and I was actually worried about losing my job, and I really worried about being able to replace it. I was at a point where I didn't have much savings, so if I lost my job, I probably had 1 month's worth of rent. So that's, what that was. Okay, I appreciate all your talking. I'm glad I spurred a conversation today. Excuse me for not reading the entire chat, but the entire chat will be with you. When you're zooming this video on YouTube, you can read the whole thing. There's a lot of good talking here. Wow, you guys just went on. You could probably hear the rain going down. Problem with some of your comments is I don't always know if you're talking to me or somebody else. So if I respond to a comment and it wasn't actually for me, my apologies. Okay, interesting comment. Unfiltered me doesn't really read the comments. He doesn't keep track of what's going on in the chat room, and frankly, it makes him look dumb. Well, I'm reading the comments now. Again, I read them after the fact. Doesn't make me look dumb. We're just not having a chat conversation here. I could do an episode where all I read is the comments. You want me to do that? Okay, I will. If that means not looking dumb. Also, sometimes I pre-record shows and I stream them out, so I'm actually really not paying attention. I've gotten better though. Also, I have bifocals, if you can't tell, and I actually can't read your comments when they're coming up. That's why you see me keep nodding my head like this, because I can't read them. That has a lot to do with it. As you guys are talking, I just can't. And if I wanted to respond to all your stuff, we could do that. We could do a chat where I'm just talking. And actually, I think we've been talking now for 30 minutes responding to these comments. Oh, okay. Thank you for talking. Who smells like a Freemason? Is it someone in the comments, or is it talking to me? Again, I don't know, but I was a Freemason for 2 years. I technically am a 32nd degree Scottish Rite Freemason, a Mark Master Mason, a 3rd degree Freemason, and I was a member of 3 lodges, and the Lodge of Research, the Scottish Rite, and the York Rite, before I told them all to shove it. In a very dramatic public breakdown, which lost me some friends, but there was some politics that went on and some bullshit and whatever. So Unfiltered is going off, he just won't stop, and he doesn't realize that someone was addressing me, and I was addressing, because else it was a conversation, but he's so narcissistic. No, I just don't know if you're chatting to me or somebody else. That's not narcissism. That is my inability to figure out your comments. Unfiltered thinks everything is about him. He doesn't realize there was a conversation within the chat. No, you're right, I didn't realize it. Doesn't mean I'm narcissistic, but also you might bring up a really good point that's worth discussing. So what you're saying is, if I see you guys commenting about something, I shouldn't bring it up to other people? No, I'm gonna bring it up. Not narcissism. I'm not the one full of myself, because you clearly... And if you notice also, I'm not reading the comments now because I realized that you're chatting between each other.
So if I'm such a narcissist, wouldn't I make every single comment about me? But I'm not. We're just sitting here listening to the rain fall on my windshield, and it is going to be raining for the rest of the day. This stream isn't about you, Unfiltered. You're right. You're right. The stream that I do on YouTube is not about me. It's about you. Why don't you get your own stream? And it's hard to watch me. So here's what will happen. I'll just block you from the comments from now on. If you think, no. Anyways, you can't, wow, this is the best comment I've ever had. Because I'm talking, the person can't read the comments to somebody else. Because I'm talking on my own YouTube channel. Okay. So, thank you for joining me. I have to now shut up and just sit here and let you guys chat amongst yourselves. Ever heard of Reddit? Why don't you go to Reddit? Become Facebook friends. So obviously I'm just a host for your conversations. All right. Well, that's enough, because now you're just being as narcissistic as you can be. All right. Thank you for watching.